As long as we're seeing that Metcalfe's law is still in effect, the value of the network is increasing, hash rate is increasing, security is increasing. These are bargain bin prices right now. I'm just ecstatic about it. I tell people, like, quit trying to time the market, quit trying to pick a bottom and pick tops, those kind of things. Learn to recognize value.
I got some interesting data to talk about today. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we have a very special guest on today to talk a little bit about these statistics. Let's pull it up. I was better yet call it data. Let's take a look at Glassnode, shall we? So the number of Bitcoin addresses with 0.01 or more is continuing to go up. Let's take a look at 0.1. Also, it's continuing to go up. Looks like a lot of people are stacking addresses with 1 Bitcoin or more continues to go up. We have 848,000 Bitcoin addresses with 1 Bitcoin or more. Let's take a look at this. The balance on exchanges, it continues to go down. It actually peaked March 18, 2020 and has continued to go down. Really interesting. Now, this is the thing that I want to talk about today because it looks like we broke a record recently, especially with this latest crash. Bitcoin net realized profit / loss. That means net realized profit / loss is the net profit or loss of all moved coins and is defined by the difference of realized profit, realized loss. And we broke a record. Check this out. The realized loss with that dip was $202 million. And that's a record. Bitcoin's never done that before. So absolute hammer blow. Jeff, how has this collapse been? Were you surprised? I think a lot of people saw this coming, especially with the position that the Fed is in right now. They have to deal with inflation, but they want to do a soft landing as well. We all know that soft landing is going to be very difficult, to say the least. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Oh, man, I have lots of thoughts. So I've been bearish since January. I actually said somewhere back when Bitcoin was 40,000 that I would not be surprised that it may drop as low as 20,000, get literally cut in half. I got laughed off many stages for saying that. Not that I'm prescient or anything, but I thought, man, the macro that's coming up that we're going to be dealing with is going to suck. And I said back then, like, yes, this is ugly, but we haven't even hit the rough patch yet. And now we're in the rough patch. This is what the rough patch looks like. The macro is terrible. It's awful. There's nothing optimistic that I look at. I mean, consumer confidence is way down. Manufacturing is way down. Housing starts are way down. On and on and on. You literally can pick out any stat and it's way down. Some of them are at all-time lows. Most of them are at just basic, like, deep recessionary type lows. So it portends to really ugly things. Bitcoin, unfortunately, is still misunderstood by the majority of market participants. So they treat it like a small tech stock. It acts like a small tech stock. It is not anything like a small tech stock, but most people who trade it think that it is. So that's why it goes down. Also because of liquidity issues, other things that we can talk about. The question I'm more interested in is, what do we do from here? Because when I look at all these metrics, on-chain kind of analytics, looking at adoption rates, Metcalfe's law, those kind of things, you showed those great charts. They're very simple, but I think they're very telling. Just adoption. How many accounts are we seeing that have 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.01 Bitcoin, blah, blah. They just keep going up, right? Up and to the right. As long as we're seeing that Metcalfe's law is still in effect, the value of the network is increasing, hash rate is increasing, security is increasing. These are bargain bin prices right now. I'm just ecstatic about it. I tell people, like, quit trying to time the market, quit trying to pick a bottom and pick tops, those kind of things. Learn to recognize value. We are deeply undervalued right now in the Bitcoin space. It may go down to 15 or 10 or 5. I have no idea. But all I do know is that it is an incredible value right now if you're a long-term saver, and you should be. So if your time horizon is 2 years or more, normally I say 10 years or more, but at this point, if your time horizon is 2 years or more, I think you will be very well rewarded for buying these days when there's blood on the streets and everybody's panicking and everybody's calling for the demise of Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said something really interesting earlier about it being treated like a tech stock or a risk-on asset. I hear that fancy term used all the time, so I'm going to use it. When is the decoupling going to happen, Dr. Ross?
I posed this on a Twitter Spaces just before this, and I said, who says, where is it written? I want somebody to show me where it's written that Bitcoin has to keep declining in price just because we're entering deeper recessionary type conditions. Why does it keep having to be coupled with tech stocks? And everybody like, well, it has to go down and blah, blah. I'm like, why? Like, it is the world's safe haven asset. It is the world's best money by far, hands down, no question asked. It is the antithesis of the US dollar and all government fiat garbage. People should be flocking and fleeing to Bitcoin right now. So when will it decouple? It may happen. And I'm actually sort of cautiously optimistic. I'm almost embarrassed to say, because I got like laughed off the stage when I brought this idea up. It's so deeply undervalued right now. And if ever there was a time that attention should be drawn to Bitcoin as being a disinflationary asset versus an inflationary asset, as being better money, as being, non-governmental, apolitical, all of the features of Bitcoin, decentralized, not controlled by goofy central banks, all these kind of things, this is the time. And so I'm optimistic, and I'm probably wrong, and I'll accept it if I'm wrong, but I think we start to see some serious decoupling in the next 6 months. So I'm on record saying that. I'll probably be wrong, and you all can laugh at me too, but I'm quietly optimistic in my deep pessimism for the macro setup right now. I'm buying.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, because a lot of people can't do that. Phil, what are your thoughts on this? What is your looking? Are you as optimistic as Jeff? You're muted. You did the same thing I did. Damn it, muted.
Trying to be polite, and then we end up ruining it. Okay, so you know what? I mean, look, I'm always a perma bull, but in terms of decoupling, I think that there's and Jeff can definitely call me on this because he understands this picture way better than I do. But I think that there's a lot of human emotion at play, and there's a lot of just our human behavior. And although we've said this before, even though we are big advocates of Bitcoin, there's a lot of people that are stacking sats that have not made the conviction, right? Have not gathered the conviction that we have in it. And for them, as soon as they start to see some market turbulence, immediately, they want to sell out into a cash position, right? And they don't understand that they're actually selling out into a lower quality position. That being said, I want to go back to something you said at the beginning about this soft landing business. Look, this is all bullshit. I don't understand how they say this stuff. How do we quantify what a soft landing is? Like, what a soft landing may be to a hedge fund is going to be completely different to a mom and pop shop on the street. It's completely different. So Wall Street, Main Street, all these are different streets. These are different views. And the other piece that I wanted to say to Jeff's point, right? A lot of people, when it comes to timing the market, the reality is almost nobody sells the top and almost nobody catches the bottom. We all live in the gray zone. Okay. That's the middle. This is where you're going to do the majority of your accumulation, because it's almost impossible to time the bottom, right? Everybody sits there and they talk about, we're waiting for capitulation. I understand that feeling. I know, because I'm a sucker that looks at charts, and I think to myself, maybe I could figure out when capitulation has happened. But do I really know? No, I have no idea. The only way that I really know is after it's happened and Bitcoin has already started to run away from me again, and I'm like, oh, that was it. So you know what? DCA, you're not going to catch the bottom. You're not going to sell the top. Enjoy your life. Bitcoin is here to stay. And listen to the pleb counselor, Jeff Ross. He knows what he's talking about, and he even said it. If he's wrong, he's going to admit it. He's wrong. And this is the point of being a pleb, right? Most of us, look, we understand Bitcoin as much as we do, but we also understand that we don't know everything. So hey, it's good to be humble. It's good to be objective, and just keep stacking your sats. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely, right? Unlike the credentialed class that was telling us that inflation was transitory, they can't admit that they were wrong, but we can, because we're plebs.